Dae-hyun wiped the grease from his hands and stared at the message on his datapad. His uncle was dead. Uncle Tae-min, the man he hadn't seen in 15 years, had left him something in his will. A spaceship and a robot. That was all the message said. He sat in his tiny apartment on New Busan, a colony world at the edge of human space. The walls were thin. He could hear his neighbors arguing through the metal panels. Outside his window, the orange sun was setting over the salvage yards where he worked every day. Dae-hyun made his living pulling apart old ships and selling the parts. It was hard work that paid poorly. The next morning, he took a transport to the orbital junkyard. The lawyer had sent him the coordinates. The junkyard floated in space above New Busan, a massive collection of broken ships and forgotten dreams. Dae-hyun had been here many times for work, but never to claim an inheritance. He found the ship in Section 7, far from the main traffic lanes. It was called the Eternal Dawn. The name was painted on the hull in faded letters. The ship was old, maybe 50 years or more. Rust covered the metal skin. Several panels were missing. One of the engine ports was completely dark. Dae-hyun had seen better ships turned into scrap metal. He docked his small shuttle and crossed through the airlock. The inside smelled like old oil and dust. Emergency lights flickered in the corridors. Most of the main power was offline. Dae-hyun walked carefully, his boots echoing on the metal floor. In the cargo bay, he found the robot. It stood in the corner, powered down and covered in dust. The robot was humanoid in shape, about 2 meters tall. Its body was made of dark metal that had once been polished but was now dull. A designation was stamped on its chest. K7. Dae-hyun found the power switch and flipped it. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the robot's eyes lit up with a soft blue glow. Its head turned toward him with a grinding sound. The joints were stiff from years of inactivity. "Hello," the robot said. Its voice crackled through damaged speakers. "Are you Captain Lee Tae-min?" "No," Dae-hyun said. "I'm his nephew. Tae-min died. He left me this ship and you." The robot was silent for several seconds, its head tilted to one side. "The captain is deceased." Confirming identity of new owner. A scanner beam swept over Dae-hyun. DNA match confirmed. "You are Lee Dae-hyun, nephew of Captain Lee Tae-min. Transferring ownership protocols." "What's your name?" Dae-hyun asked. "Besides K7? "The captain called me Kibo," the robot replied. "It means hope in an old Earth language." Dae-hyun looked around the cargo bay. "Well, Kibo, I'm going to sell this ship for scrap. And probably you too. I need the money." Kibo's lights flickered. "Please, I request time to complete final protocols." The captain gave me important instructions before his death. "What kind of instructions?" "I cannot say yet. My memory cores are damaged. I need 7 days to repair and organize the data. Then I can explain everything." Dae-hyun sighed. He didn't want to wait, but something in the robot's voice made him pause. Maybe it was just programming, but Kibo sounded genuine. 1 week. That's all you get." "Thank you," Kibo said. Over the next few days, Dae-hyun explored the ship while Kibo worked on its repairs. The Eternal Dawn was a small freighter, designed for a crew of 5. Most of the systems were broken or outdated. The navigation computer was ancient. The reactor was still functional but running at low power. The ship had traveled far. That much was clear from the log entries. Dae-hyun found his uncle's personal quarters on the 3rd day. The room was small and neat. A bed, a desk, and a locker. On the desk was a datapad with recorded messages. Dae-hyun sat down and started playing them. His uncle's face appeared on the screen. Tae-min looked old and tired. "If you're watching this, I'm gone," the recording said. "And you probably think I'm crazy. Maybe I am. But everything I did for humanity. There's a secret, Dae-hyun. A terrible secret that our leaders have kept from us. I spent my whole life trying to expose it. Kibo has the proof. Listen to what he tells you. Trust him. What I discovered? It's the greatest truth humanity never knew." The message ended. Dae-hyun played it again, then a 3rd time. What secret? What proof? His uncle had always been strange, always talking about conspiracies and hidden truths. Dae-hyun had thought he was paranoid. But now, on the 5th day, Dae-hyun's friend Hana came to visit. She was a mechanic who worked in the salvage yards. She was smart and good with machines. Dae-hyun had asked her to look at the ship's systems. Hana spent 2 hours examining the reactor and the engine cores. When she came back to the cargo bay, her face was serious. "Dae-hyun, the ship is strange." "Strange how?" "The reactor signature." It's not like anything in our current databases. The energy output pattern is wrong. It's more efficient than it should be. And there are modification marks all over the engine housing. Someone rebuilt this ship with technology I don't recognize. Daehyun felt a chill run down his spine. Could it be alien technology? Hana shook her head. I don't know. We've never had contact with aliens. At least that's what the government says. That night, Daehyun couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about his uncle's message and Hana's words. He went to the ship's bridge and activated the long-range sensors. It took a while to get them working, but eventually they came online. What he saw made his blood run cold. 3 ships were positioned around the junkyard, staying just outside normal sensor range. They weren't moving. They were just watching, waiting. Daehyun ran to the cargo bay. Kibo, wake up! The robot activated immediately. What is wrong? There are ships out there. They're watching us. Who are they? Kibo's eyes brightened. They have found us. We have less time than I thought. Found us? What are you talking about? Tomorrow is the 7th day, Kibo said. I will show you everything then. But we must prepare to leave quickly. I'm not going anywhere until you tell me what's happening. Kibo stood up. Its movements were smoother now, the repairs almost complete. The robot walked to the center of the cargo bay. Very well. You need to know now. A panel on Kibo's chest slid open. Inside was a crystalline object pulsing with soft light. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. The light grew brighter, filling the room. Data streams appeared in the air, holographic images and text in a dozen languages. This, Kibo said, is the truth your uncle died protecting. The truth that humanity's leaders have hidden for 300 years. We are not alone in the universe. We have never been alone. And we are not free. Daehyun stared at the hologram. His hands were shaking. Everything he thought he knew about the world was about to change. The stars on the display shifted, forming a map. Coordinates appeared, pointing to a location far beyond known space. Kibo's voice was soft but firm. Your uncle wanted you to finish his mission. To bring the truth to humanity. But first we must escape. They are coming for us tonight. Outside the ship, in the darkness of space, the 3 mysterious vessels began to move closer. The hologram filled the cargo bay with blue light. Daehyun watched as images formed in the air before him. They were so clear, so real that he felt like he could touch them. Kibo's crystalline core pulsed steadily. What you are about to see has been erased from every official record. Your uncle spent 20 years gathering this evidence. Please watch carefully. The first image showed Earth. But it wasn't the Earth that Daehyun knew. This Earth had different cities, different ships in orbit. The date stamp read 2287, more than 300 years ago. Then the aliens appeared. Daehyun gasped. They were tall, nearly 3 meters high. Their bodies looked like insects with hard shells that gleamed like metal. They had 4 arms and legs that bent in strange directions. Their heads were angular with multiple eyes. They were terrifying and beautiful at the same time. The Valrians, Kibo said quietly. They came to Earth on March 15, 2287, first contact. But this is not the version of first contact that appears in your history books. The hologram showed massive ships descending through Earth's atmosphere. They were huge, bigger than any human vessel. They landed in major cities around the world. People gathered to watch. In the recording, everyone looked excited. Humanity's first meeting with alien life. But then the scene changed. The hologram now showed a meeting room. Human leaders sat on one side of a long table. On the other side sat the Valrians. The largest Valrian stood up. When it spoke, a translation appeared in the hologram. Humanity, you have been evaluated. Your species shows potential. We offer you a choice. Join the Valrian Empire as warriors and servants. You will be protected and guided, or refuse and be destroyed. You have 1 Earth week to decide. Daehyun felt sick. This wasn't first contact. This was an ultimatum. A threat, the hologram continued. It showed the human leaders arguing among themselves. Some wanted to fight. Others wanted to negotiate. Days passed in the recording, compressed into minutes. Then came the final meeting. The lead human negotiator stood up. We accept your terms. Humanity will join the Valrian Empire. The Valrian leader made a clicking sound that might have been laughter. A wise choice. You are the 38th species to choose correctly. 3 others chose to refuse. They no longer exist. Daehyun's legs felt weak. He sat down on a cargo container. This can't be real. We would know. Everyone would know. Kibo's eyes dimmed slightly. Keep watching. The hologram showed what happened next. The Valrians brought technology, but only certain kinds. They helped humanity spread to the stars, but only to specific worlds. They provided protection, but at a cost. Every human military ship had to carry Valrian observers. Every major government decision had to be approved by Valrian advisors. And then came the erasure. The hologram showed the leaders working with the Valrians to rewrite history. All records of the ultimatum were destroyed. New stories were created. In these new stories, the Valrians were friendly explorers who had helped humanity reach the stars. First contact became a moment of joy, not subjugation. Why? Daehyun whispered. Why would our own leaders do this? To prevent rebellion, Kibo answered. The Valrians learned from other species. If people know they are slaves, they resist. If they think they are free, they accept their chains. Your leaders chose comfort over truth. They chose survival over freedom. The hologram shifted again. Now it showed a man in a captain's uniform. Daehyun recognized him immediately. Uncle Tae-min, but younger, stronger. His uncle was on a ship speaking to someone off camera. I found the proof, Tae-min said in the recording. Everything we were told is a lie. The Valrians rule us. They always have. I'm making copies of all the evidence. I'm putting it somewhere safe. If anything happens to me, my nephew will finish this. He has to know the truth. The hologram faded. Kibo's chest panel slid closed, hiding the crystal core. The cargo bay seemed very dark after all that light. Daehyun stood up slowly. His mind was racing. How did my uncle get this information? Captain Taemin was assigned to a deep space mission, Kibo explained. We encountered a damaged Valrian data station. While investigating, the captain accessed their records. That's when he learned everything. He downloaded all the files into my core. The Valrians discovered the breach and sent ships after us. We've been running ever since, and for how long? 15 years. The captain led them away from populated areas. He hid in remote systems. He changed the ship's identity many times. When he knew his time was short, he came to New Busan. He left the ship here for you, then disappeared. I believe the Valrians finally caught him. Daehyun thought about his uncle. 15 years on the run. 15 years alone. Why me? Why leave this to me? He said you were honest. That you had a good heart. That you would do the right thing even if it was hard. Before Daehyun could respond, an alarm blared through the ship. Red lights flashed in the corridors. Kibo's head turned sharply toward the airlock. They are here. Daehyun ran to the bridge. The sensor display showed multiple ships approaching the junkyard. They had Earth Defense Force markings, official military vessels, but something was wrong. The energy signatures coming from the ships were strange, almost like the modified reactor on the Eternal Dawn. Hana's voice crackled over the communication system. Daehyun, are you seeing this? Military ships just showed up and they're not responding to junkyard control. They're heading straight for your position. Hana, get out of here. Daehyun shouted into the comm. It's not safe. I'm not leaving you. I'm coming to your ship. Daehyun wanted to argue, but there was no time. He turned to Kibo, who had followed him to the bridge. Can we run? The jump drive requires 3 hours to charge from cold start, Kibo said. We do not have 3 hours. Then we fight? We are one small freighter against 6 military cruisers. We cannot fight. Daehyun slammed his fist on the console. Then what do we do? Kibo moved to the navigation station. Its metal fingers flew over the controls with surprising speed. We buy time. The ship has stealth modifications that the captain installed. If I can activate them, we might hide long enough to charge the jump drive. The ship shuddered. An explosion rocked the junkyard nearby. Taehyun saw on the sensors that the military ships were firing on the station sections around them. They were destroying the junkyard to flush him out. Hana's shuttle appeared on the sensors, racing toward the Eternal Dawn. Daehyun guided her to the docking port manually. As soon as she was aboard, he sealed the airlock. Hana ran onto the bridge, breathing hard. What is happening? The truth, Daehyun said bitterly. Everything we know is a lie. Another explosion, closer this time. Metal debris bounced off the ship's hull. Kibo worked frantically at the controls. Stealth systems are responding, but they are old. I can give us maybe 30 minutes of concealment. And the jump drive? Daehyun asked. 2 hours and 40 minutes until it's ready. Hana looked between them. Someone want to tell me what's going on? Daehyun quickly explained what Kibo had shown him. About the Valrians, the ultimatum, the hidden truth. Hana's face went pale, then red with anger. Our own government? Our own people did this to us? To keep the peace, Kibo said. To prevent war. Or so they told themselves. The stealth systems activated. On the external cameras, Dae-hyun could see a shimmer pass over the ship's hull. They faded from the military ship's sensors. The attacking vessels slowed, confused. They began scanning the debris field. They know we're here somewhere, Hana said. They'll find us eventually. Dae-hyun studied the tactical display. Kibo, the crystal in your chest. That's the only copy of the evidence? Yes, the captain destroyed all other copies to keep them from being traced. Then we can't let them catch us. That data has to reach free humans, people who can do something with it. Free humans? Hana asked. Are there any? Kibo's eyes brightened. Yes, the crystal also contains coordinates. Your uncle discovered something else in the Valrian records. Other species escaped their control. They formed a coalition. The Liberated Worlds. They hide in deep space beyond Valrian territory. If we can reach them, they will help us free humanity. Dae-hyun made his decision. Then that's where we go. How many jumps to get there? 3, Kibo replied.
Each jump must be calculated carefully.
The route goes through uncharted space. The ship shook again. One of the military vessels was firing blind into the debris field, hoping to hit them by luck. Time was running out. Dae-hyun sat in the captain's chair. It felt too big for him. He was just a salvage worker. But his uncle had trusted him with this mission. With the truth. He couldn't let Taemin down. He couldn't let humanity down. Hana, can you help Kibo get the systems ready? She nodded. Tell me what you need. As they worked, Dae-hyun watched the timer count down. 2 hours and 30 minutes. 2 hours and 20 minutes. The military ships moved through the debris, getting closer with each sweep. He thought about what Kibo had shown him. Humanity wasn't free. They never had been. Every choice, every path controlled by aliens who saw them as tools. As weapons. The rage built in his chest. But rage wouldn't save them now. Only patience and skill would. He had to become what his uncle needed. A captain, a rebel. A man who could carry the truth across the stars. The hunt continued around them, invisible in the darkness, counting down the minutes to escape. The timer showed 1 hour and 15 minutes remaining. The military ships were sweeping closer to their position. Dae-hyun watched the sensor displays, his hands gripping the arms of the captain's chair. They're using a grid search pattern, Hana said from the engineering station. Methodical, professional. They'll reach our position in about 40 minutes. The jump drive won't be ready in time, Dae-hyun said. He looked at Kibo, who stood at the navigation console. We need another option. Kibo's head tilted. There may be one way. The stealth system is failing because we are stationary. If we move, the energy signature will spike and they will detect us immediately. However, if we create a diversion, we might buy enough time. What kind of diversion? The junkyard has fusion reactors in several sections. If we remotely overload one, the explosion will draw their attention. We can use those minutes to move to a new position. Hana frowned. But won't people get hurt? There are workers all over this junkyard. Kibo checked the station schematics. Section 12 is scheduled for demolition next month. It has been evacuated. No life signs detected. We can detonate it safely. Dae-hyun hated the idea, but they had no choice. Do it, but keep the explosion small. Just enough to distract them. Kibo worked at the controls. Its metal fingers moved with precision, slicing through the junkyard's security systems, accessing reactor controls, initializing overload sequence. Detonation in 3 minutes. Those 3 minutes felt like hours. Dae-hyun prepared the ship's maneuvering thrusters. He plotted a course to a new hiding spot on the far side of the junkyard. The whole time he kept one eye on the military ships. They were getting closer. 30 seconds, Kibo announced. Everyone hold on, Dae-hyun said. The explosion lit up space like a new star. Section 12 of the junkyard erupted in a brilliant flash of light and energy. Debris scattered in all directions. The shockwave rippled through the station. The military ships immediately changed course, rushing toward the explosion. Their sensors focused on the blast site. Dae-hyun fired the thrusters. The eternal dawn slipped through the debris field like a ghost. The stealth systems flickered but held. They reached the new position with seconds to spare. Dae-hyun cut the engines and let the ship drift among the wreckage. On the sensors, he could see the military vessels examining the remains of Section 12. They're scanning the debris, Hana reported, looking for our wreckage. They think we were destroyed in the blast. How long until they realize we're not there? Taehyun asked. Maybe 20 minutes if we're lucky. Kibo checked the jump drive status. 53 minutes until the drive is charged. We are still short on time. Daehyun thought hard. They needed another plan. He accessed the ship's systems looking for anything they could use. That's when he noticed something strange in the cargo manifest. Kibo, what's in Cargo Bay 2? The robot paused. I cannot access that information. The captain sealed that bay with special locks. He never told me what was inside. Can we open it? As the new owner, you have access to all systems. Yes, we can open it, Daehyun stood up. Hana, watch the sensors. Let me know if those ships move toward us. Kibo, come with me. They went down to the lower deck. Cargo Bay 2 was at the end of a narrow corridor. The door was sealed with a heavy lock that required both a code and a biometric scan. Daehyun placed his hand on the scanner. It glowed green. The lock clicked open. Inside, the cargo bay was filled with large metal containers. They were marked with strange symbols that Daehyun didn't recognize. Kibo moved forward and examined the nearest container. These markings are Valrian military codes. What's in them? Kibo opened the first container. Inside were weapons. Not human weapons, but something else entirely. They looked organic and technological at the same time, with smooth curves and glowing energy cores. There were rifles, grenades, and devices Daehyun couldn't identify. Valrian weapons, Kibo said with surprise. Your uncle must have stolen these during his escape. They opened more containers. One held armor suits designed for human bodies but made with Valrian technology. Another contained data cores and computer systems. A third had what looked like medical equipment. Daehyun picked up one of the rifles. It was lighter than it looked. The moment he touched it, the weapon activated. A heads-up display appeared in his vision, showing targeting information and charge levels. These are incredible and dangerous, Kibo warned. This equipment is far beyond current human technology. If you use these weapons, the Valrians will know. They track their military hardware. We're already being hunted, Daehyun said. Might as well have something to defend ourselves with. Hana's voice came through the communication system. Guys, we have a problem. The military ships are splitting up. 3 are staying at the explosion site. The other 3 are resuming the search pattern. And they're coming this way. Daehyun and Kibo rushed back to the bridge. The sensor display showed exactly what Hana had described. The military vessels were spreading out, covering more area. They would reach the Eternal Dawn in less than 10 minutes. Jump drive status? Daehyun asked. Kibo checked the display. 41 minutes remaining. They didn't have 41 minutes. Daehyun's mind raced. Then he had an idea. A crazy, desperate idea. Kibo, when you overloaded that reactor, how did you do it? I accessed the remote control systems and adjusted the safety protocols. Why? Could you do the same thing to our reactor? Make it look like it's about to explode? Kibo understood immediately. Yes, we could create a false overload scenario. The military ships would detect it and move away to avoid the blast. But there is a risk. If they scan us directly, they will see through the deception. We don't have any other choices, Hana said. Do it. Kibo went to work. It adjusted the reactor output, creating surges and fluctuations that would look like a critical failure. Warning signals began broadcasting from the ship. On the sensors, Daehyun could see the military vessels detecting the alerts. The lead ship opened a communication channel. A voice filled the bridge, cold and mechanical. Attention, unidentified vessel. Your reactor is reaching critical levels. Evacuate immediately. We are moving to safe distance. Daehyun didn't respond. He watched as the military ships pulled back, giving them space. The timer counted down. 30 minutes, 25 minutes, but then something went wrong. One of the military ships wasn't retreating. It was moving closer, its sensors focused directly on the Eternal Dawn. They're scanning us, Hana said, her voice tight. They're going to see through the fake overload. Daehyun made a decision. He ran back to Cargo Bay 2 and grabbed one of the Valrian rifles and an armor suit. Kibo followed him. What are you doing? If they're going to board us, I'm going to be ready. He put on the armor. It sealed around his body automatically, fitting perfectly. The helmet connected with a hiss. Information flooded his vision, enhanced by the suit's systems. He felt stronger, faster. Back on the bridge, the military ship was right next to them now. Magnetic locks clamped onto the Eternal Dawn's hull. They were being boarded. Kibo, can you seal the inner doors? Slow them down? Yes, but they will cut through eventually. Do it. And keep working on the jump drive. Get it ready as fast as possible. Daehyun moved to the corridor outside the bridge. He could hear cutting tools working on the airlock door. They were coming through. His heart pounded in his chest. He'd never been in a fight before. He was a salvage worker, not a soldier, but he was also the keeper of the truth now. He couldn't let them take Kibo, couldn't let them destroy the evidence. The airlock door fell inward with a crash. Soldiers poured through wearing heavy combat armor. They carried advanced weapons. But as they raised their guns, Daehyun saw something that made his blood run cold. Through their helmet visors, he could see their faces. They were human, his own people working for the aliens. For a moment, everyone froze. Then the lead soldier spoke, his voice amplified by speakers. Drop your weapon. You are under arrest for theft of classified material and conspiracy against the Earth Defense Force. Daehyun's finger tightened on the trigger, but he couldn't shoot. These were humans. Misled, controlled, but still human. Then Kibo appeared behind the soldiers. The robot moved with incredible speed, faster than Daehyun had ever seen. Panels on its body opened, revealing weapons that had been hidden inside its frame. Stun beams shot out, hitting the soldiers. They fell unconscious but alive. How did you do that? Daehyun asked. The captain modified me for combat situations, Kibo explained. I did not tell you, because I hoped we would never need such measures. More soldiers were coming through the airlock. Kibo moved to intercept them, its stun weapons firing continuously. Daehyun helped, using his Valrian rifle on its lowest setting. They pushed the boarding party back step by step, but there were too many. For every soldier that fell, 2 more appeared. Kibo took damage, its left arm sparking from a direct hit. They were losing. On the bridge, Hana shouted. Jump drive is ready. Kibo, I need the coordinates. Kibo transmitted the data while still fighting. First jump calculated. Coordinates locked. We must reach the bridge. Daehyun and Kibo fought their way back through the corridors. Soldiers chased them, weapons firing. The ship shook from the impacts. They reached the bridge and sealed the door. It wouldn't hold for long. Hana was already at the pilot controls. Everyone strap in. This is going to be rough. Daehyun threw him as the ship emerged from the jump in empty space. Stars surrounded them, but they were different stars than the ones near New Busan. They had traveled hundreds of light years in an instant. Daehyun's stomach churned. Jump travel always made him feel sick, but this was worse than usual. Maybe because they had jumped in such a hurry. Hana looked pale too, gripping the edge of her console. Everyone okay? Daehyun asked. Hana nodded slowly. I'll live. Where are we? Kibo checked the navigation systems. The robot's damaged arm hung uselessly at its side, but it could still work with the other. We are in the Outer Veil region. No human colonies within 50 light years. We are safe for now. How long until we can jump again? Daehyun asked. The drive needs to recharge. Approximately 6 hours. 6 hours. Daehyun unbuckled from the captain's chair and stood up. His legs were shaky. Then we use that time to repair the damage and rest. Kibo, let me look at your arm. They went to the cargo bay. Daehyun found a toolkit and examined the damaged limb. The metal was scorched and some of the internal mechanisms were fused together. I'm not sure I can fix this, he admitted. The arm is not essential, Kibo said. I can function with limited mobility. What matters is protecting the crystal core and reaching the liberated worlds. Daehyun worked anyway, doing what repairs he could. As he worked, he asked questions. You said there were 38 species that joined the Valrians. What happened to them? They serve the Empire in various ways. Some are workers, building Valrian stations and ships. Others are soldiers fighting the Empire's wars. A few are administrators helping to control the other subject species. And humans? What do the Valrians use us for? Kibo's eyes dimmed. Humanity was chosen to be warriors. The Valrians discovered that humans are naturally aggressive, adaptable, and innovative in combat. They wanted to use these traits. Many humans serve in the Valrian military, though they do not know they are truly serving an alien empire. Daehyun thought about the soldiers who had boarded their ship. They had seemed so certain they were doing the right thing, defending Earth, following orders. They had no idea they were slaves. This is going to destroy people when they find out. The truth is going to break hearts. Yes, Kibo agreed. But a comfortable lie is still a lie. And slavery is slavery, even with a kind face. After doing what he could for Kibo's arm, Daehyun returned to the bridge. Hana had made food from the ship's supplies. They ate in silence, too tired and overwhelmed to talk much. Finally, Hana spoke. "What do you think these liberated worlds will be like? Can we trust them?" "I don't know," Daehyun said honestly. "But we don't have many options. We can't go back to human space. The Valrians will be hunting us everywhere. Our only chance is to find allies." The 6 hours passed slowly. They took turns sleeping and keeping watch on the sensors. The empty space around them remained empty. No pursuit. No threats. Just silence and stars. When the jump drive was ready, they made the second jump. This one went more smoothly. They emerged in a region filled with nebula clouds, beautiful swirls of color and gas. It would have been peaceful if Daehyun wasn't so worried about what came next. "One more jump," Kibo announced. "The coordinates lead to a system called Haven. It's the meeting place for the Liberated Worlds Coalition. What if they attack us?" Hana asked. "We're coming in a human ship. They might think we're working for the Valrians." Kibo considered this. "Your uncle's codes are in the navigation computer. They will identify us as friends. I hope." That word, hope, didn't make Daehyun feel better. But they had come this far. They had to finish the journey. The final jump charged faster, only 4 hours this time. When they were ready, Daehyun took a deep breath. "Kibo, send the friendship codes as soon as we arrive. Hana, be ready to jump out if things go wrong. I'll handle communications." They jumped. The universe twisted again. And when the eternal dawn emerged, they found themselves surrounded by ships. Dozens of vessels floated in space around them. But they weren't human ships or Valrian ships. They were strange, beautiful, and completely alien. Some looked like they were made of crystal. Others seemed to be grown rather than built, with organic curves and living metal. There were ships shaped like flowers, like insects, like things Daehyun had never imagined, and they all had weapons pointed at the eternal dawn. Kibo immediately transmitted the codes. For several long seconds, nothing happened. Then a voice came through the communication system. It spoke in a language Daehyun didn't understand, but the ship's computer translated it into Korean. "Human vessel, we have received your identification codes. They are very old. Explain your presence here." Daehyun cleared his throat. His mouth was dry. "My name is Lee Daehyun. I'm the nephew of Captain Lee Taemin. He gathered evidence about the Valrian control of Earth. He died protecting that evidence. Now I'm bringing it to you, hoping you can help us free my people." Another long pause, then a different voice, this one sounding more friendly. "Captain Lee Daehyun, this is Commander Yuki of the Liberated Worlds Defense Force. Your uncle was a brave man. We have been waiting for someone from Earth to contact us. Please dock with our flagship. We have much to discuss." One of the largest ships in the fleet moved closer. It was beautiful, made of silver metal that seemed to flow like water. A docking bay opened in its side, large enough to fit the eternal dawn easily. Daehyun guided the ship inside carefully. As they landed, he could see aliens moving around the bay. They were different species working together. Some were tall and thin with too many joints. Others were short and covered in fur. One group had scales that changed color as they moved. The ship settled onto the landing pad. Daehyun, Hana, and Kibo stood by the airlock. "Ready?" Daehyun asked. "No," Hana said. "But let's do this anyway." The airlock opened. A group of aliens waited outside. The one in front was humanoid in shape, but with blue skin and white hair that floated around its head like it was underwater. This must be Commander Yuki. Yuki stepped forward and bowed slightly. "Welcome to Defiance. I am honored to meet the family of Captain Taemin. Please follow me. We have prepared a meeting with the council." They walked through corridors filled with alien technology. Everything was smooth and efficient, but also artistic. The walls had patterns that shifted and changed. The air smelled like flowers Daehyun had never encountered. The council chamber was a large round room. Representatives from 6 different species sat around a central platform. Yuki led Daehyun, Hana, and Kibo to the center. "Council members," Yuki announced. "I present Lee Daehyun of Earth, carrying the evidence gathered by Captain Lee Taemin." Kibo stepped forward. The robot's chest panel opened, revealing the crystal core. Light filled the room as the data projected into the air. The council members watched as the history of Earth's subjugation played out before them. When the presentation finished, the room was silent. Then a large alien with orange fur spoke. Its words were translated by the room systems. We are Murans. Our world fell to the Valrians 200 years ago. We resisted and they destroyed our cities. Only a few of us escaped. We understand the pain of Earth. Another council member, this one made of what looked like living crystal, spoke next. We are Solith. The Valrians wanted our technology. When we refused to share it, they took it by force and enslaved our people. We know the cruelty of the Empire. One by one, the council members shared their stories. Each species had suffered under Valrian rule. Each had lost their freedom. And each had fought to escape. Finally, Yuki spoke again.
Humanity is legendary among the freed peoples.
When the Valrians came to Earth, you fought back harder than any species they had encountered. Your military, though small and primitive, destroyed 3 Valrian scout fleets before your leaders surrendered. The Empire feared what humanity might become with proper technology and knowledge. That's why they took such care to control you, to make you think you were free. Daehyun felt pride and sadness at the same time. Humanity had been strong once. Could they be strong again? We want to help Earth, Yuki continued. But we must be honest. Freeing your world will not be easy. The Valrians have controlled humanity for 3 centuries. They have integrated themselves into every level of your society. Many humans, even good people, will resist the truth because accepting it is too painful. We know, Hana said quietly. We saw it ourselves. Human soldiers attacked us believing they were protecting Earth. They had no idea they were protecting their own chains. A council member who looked like a large insect clicked its mandibles. There is another concern. Once humanity is free, what will they do? Will you seek revenge? Will you become conquerors yourself? We have seen species go from slaves to tyrants. How do we know Earth will be different? Daehyun had no good answer for that. He could only speak from his heart. I can't promise anything for all of humanity. I'm just a salvage worker. But I can tell you this. We deserve the chance to choose our own path. Maybe we'll make mistakes. Maybe we'll stumble. But those mistakes should be ours to make. Freedom means nothing if it's only given to those you think will use it perfectly. The council members looked at each other. Some seemed convinced. Others still looked doubtful. Finally, Yuki nodded. You speak wit? 3 months of training had changed everything. Daehyun stood on the bridge of the Eternal Dawn, but he wasn't the same man who had inherited this ship. He moved with confidence now. His body was stronger from combat training. His mind was sharper from studying tactics and strategy. Hana had changed too. She understood alien technology now, could repair and modify systems that would have baffled her before. She had upgraded their ship with help from the liberated world's engineers. The Eternal Dawn was no longer just a broken freighter. It was a stealth vessel equipped with the best technology the freed species could provide. Kibo stood beside Daehyun, its repairs complete. The robot looked almost new, but it still carried the crystal core with all the evidence of Earth's enslavement. Are you ready? Yuki asked over the communication channel. The liberated world's fleet floated nearby, hidden in a dark region of space just outside the Valrian sensor network. Ready, Daehyun confirmed. He looked at Hana, who nodded. They had one chance to do this right. If they failed, Earth might never get another opportunity for freedom. The plan was simple but dangerous. The Eternal Dawn would slip through Earth's orbital defenses using its advanced stealth systems. Once in position, they would broadcast Kibo's data to every communication channel on Earth simultaneously. Every television, every computer, every datapad would receive the truth about the Valrians and humanity's enslavement. The broadcast would last only minutes before the Valrians shut it down. But minutes would be enough. Once people knew the truth, they couldn't unknow it. The spark of rebellion would be lit. Daehyun engaged the jump drive. The Eternal Dawn vanished from the fleet and reappeared on the edge of Earth's solar system. They were home, but it didn't feel like home anymore. Not when he knew the truth about the chains around his world. They moved slowly through the solar system, using the stealth systems to avoid detection. It took 2 days to reach Earth orbit. 2 days of careful navigation, hiding from patrol ships and sensor stations. Finally, they were in position above Earth's largest city. Daehyun could see the planet below, blue and green and beautiful. Somewhere down there, people lived their lives thinking they were free. In a few minutes, their entire world would change. Beginning broadcast, Kibo announced. The robot's crystal core pulsed with light. Data streamed out from the ship, reaching every satellite, every transmission station. Daehyun watched the monitors. On screens all over Earth, the regular programs disappeared. Kibo's hologram appeared instead, showing the truth. The Valrian arrival. The ultimatum. The surrender. 300 years of lies exposed in moments. He could imagine people stopping what they were doing to watch. Families gathered around televisions. Workers in offices staring at their computers. Everyone seeing the same thing. The same horrible, liberating truth. The broadcast continued. It showed the evidence, the documents, the recordings. It showed how the Valrians controlled Earth's government, its military, its future. It showed the other enslaved species. It showed the liberated worlds and their message of hope. Then came the call to action. Kibo's voice filled the airwaves. People of Earth, you are not free. But you can be. Rise up. Resist. Your courage and strength are legendary among the stars. Show the Valrians why they feared you. Show them that humanity chooses freedom. Alarms blared on the bridge. The Valrian defense network had detected them. Ships were changing course, racing toward their position. How long did we broadcast? Daehyun asked. 4 minutes and 37 seconds, Kibo replied. The message has reached approximately 6 billion people. They are shutting down our transmission now. It would have to be enough. Daehyun prepared to jump away, but then something unexpected happened. The orbital defense platforms, the ones that protected Earth from threats, began activating. But they weren't targeting the Eternal Dawn. They were targeting the Valrian ships. What's happening? Hana asked. Kibo checked the data streams. The defense platform crews have seen the broadcast. They are turning against their Valrian commanders. They're fighting back. On the monitors, Daehyun could see ships firing on each other. Earth's defense fleet was splitting apart. Some captains stayed loyal to the established order. Others, now knowing the truth, refused to serve their alien masters any longer. We're receiving transmission from the surface, Kibo announced. A voice crackled through the speakers. It was rough, old, but strong. Unknown vessel. This is General Park Sungmin of the Earth Resistance. We've been waiting for proof like this for years. My people are moving now. We're hitting Valrian positions all over the planet. But we need help. Those orbital platforms need to be destroyed before the Valrians use them against our cities. Valrian orbital platforms. Daehyun remembered what Kibo had mentioned before. The Valrians had hidden bombardment weapons in orbit, disguised as weather satellites. If they activated those weapons, they could kill millions. Hana, can we reach those platforms before they fire? Hana studied the tactical display. They're spread all over the planet. We can't get them all. But if we give the coordinates to the resistance forces, the defense fleet ships that turned against the Valrians might be able to help. Daehyun made his decision. Kibo, transmit the locations of all Valrian weapons platforms to General Park and to the friendly defense ships. Then get us to the nearest platform. We'll take it out ourselves. The Eternal Dawn raced across Earth's orbit. Below, Daehyun could see lights appearing all over the planet. Explosions, fires. The uprising had begun. People were fighting back, attacking Valrian facilities, freeing prisoners from hidden camps. It was chaotic and violent and terrible. But it was also beautiful. Humanity was choosing freedom, whatever the cost. They reached the first weapons platform. It was massive, disguised as a climate monitoring station. Daehyun armed the ship's weapons, systems that had been installed by the liberated worlds. He targeted the platform's power core and fired. The platform exploded in a ball of fire, one down. But the sensors showed dozens more activating across the planet. Some were already charging their weapons, preparing to fire on cities below. We need more help, Hana said desperately. Then the sky lit up with new arrivals. Ships emerged from jump space above Earth. Not Valrian ships, but vessels from the liberated worlds. The fleet had come earlier than planned, responding to the chaos. Yuki's voice filled the communication channel. We could not let you fight alone, Captain Daehyun. The council decided that once the uprising began, we would provide support. We are engaging the Valrian platforms now. The liberated world's ships spread across Earth's orbit with military precision. They destroyed weapons platforms one after another. The Valrian forces tried to fight back, but they were overwhelmed. Their strength had always been control and deception, not open warfare against determined enemies. On the surface, the fighting continued. Daehyun watched the news feeds that Kibo accessed. Cities were in chaos. Some areas had descended into violence between those who accepted the truth and those who rejected it. Other places had organized quickly, with resistance cells taking control of key locations. The Earth Defense Force was in complete disarray. Some admirals ordered their ships to fight the aliens. Others tried to maintain order and stop the rebellion. A few Valrian commanders revealed themselves, abandoning their human disguises in desperation. It only made people angrier. For 3 days the battle raged, 3 days of fire and blood and terrible choices. Daehyun and his crew fought alongside the liberated world's fleet, destroying Valrian installations and protecting civilian areas from bombardment. On the 3rd day, the last Valrian dreadnought fell. The massive ship burned as it tumbled into Earth's atmosphere. The Valrian Empire's military presence in the solar system was broken, but that was just the beginning. The political struggle would be harder. Earth's government was in shambles. The leaders who had collaborated with the Valrians were being arrested or had fled. New leaders were emerging, but there was no consensus about Earth's future. Daehyun was called to speak at an emergency global council, broadcast to everyone on Earth. He stood before billions of people. This man who had been a simple salvage worker just months before. "I'm not a politician," he began. "I'm not a general or a diplomat. I was just someone who inherited an old ship and learned a terrible truth. But that truth set me free, and now it has set all of you free too." He paused, gathering his thoughts. "Some of you are angry. You want revenge against the Valrians, against those who collaborated with them. I understand that anger. I've felt it myself. But revenge won't build a better future. Others are afraid. You've seen what freedom costs. You've seen the violence and the chaos. You're wondering if we should have stayed in comfortable ignorance. But a cage is still a cage, even if it's comfortable, and we are humans. We don't belong in cages. The liberated worlds have offered to help us rebuild. They've offered technology, knowledge, and friendship. But they've also warned us. Freedom means responsibility. We have to choose what kind of people we want to be. What kind of civilization we want to build. I propose this. Instead of seeking revenge, we seek justice. We help other enslaved species gain their freedom. Just as others helped us, we become the people our ancestors hoped we would be. Strong, yes, but also kind. Brave, yes, but also wise.